Hello, or I guess if I'm in character, I should say, Jinkies, happy Halloween. Yes, I'm Velma from Scooby-Doo. Cody went as Shaggy this year. Aww. Yes, it is Halloween today as I record this intro. This video was supposed to come out last week and I completely overestimated my abilities, overextended myself. It has taken so much longer than normal, and here I am on Halloween trying to record the intro and finish the edit and have this video up today. Will it happen? I have no idea, but I'm definitely gonna try. So I, of course, love Halloween. As a spooky girl, it is my favorite time of the year in general. But one thing that I really love about Halloween time is I get to go shopping for household decor. I like my home to be spooky year-round, and this is the one time a year that I get to buy up everything I want to decorate my house. However, Halloween decor, it can often be pretty tacky. I don't want my house to look cheesy, so I take all this Halloween decor and kind of give it a makeover. Make it more upscale, take it from tacky to tasteful. Now, those are both very subjective terms, so disclaimer, what I determine to be tacky, you might not. What I determine to be tasteful, you might not. But that is the goal of today's video. I bought so many things. Some of them were thrifted. Some came from places like Walmart and Target. Some came from the dollar store. Some I already have and have absolutely nothing to do with Halloween, but they will once I finish with them. Now, like I said, I was overly ambitious and I took on 33 makeovers for this video. Whew. It took me ages. Ugh. But I got them all done, so this is going to be a pretty long video. Maybe sit back, chill, grab a snack, and come with me as I make over a bunch of Halloween items. I don't want to ramble, so enough of me talking. Let's jump right in and see what I can create. We're going to start with this little book, but this book is actually a box, and I store my sewing kit inside. Shout out to Phoebe for this random Guess Who card stuck in here. But yeah, this clearly isn't Halloween decor, and there's nothing wrong with the box as it is per se, but I have been wanting to make it much more interesting and spooky for quite some time. I decided I would make it look like Book from Hocus Pocus. We're gonna have to do some clay work for this, and I'm going with foam clay. I know, I've talked so much about it the last time I used it. It is not my favorite type of clay at all, but number one, I'm tight on time and you cannot beat the drying time of foam clay. Number two, I still have a bunch of this clay, so why would I bother spending more money buying a different type of clay? Might as well just use it up and then I can move on. Started out by rolling some clay snakes and smoothing the edges onto the book to make those raised skin seams. Of course, we have to add the spooky little eye and all of the eyelid flesh around it. I swear it has like 3 eyelids. And the round clasp for the book, that silver one. Now for a few more of those skin seams. And here I created the actual like crevice between the seams where those skin panels are like sewn together. And near the spine, there's a silver decorative panel with a snake slithering down it. The corners have the same kind of embellishment. It's like a silver corner panel, and then there's a snake all circled up on top. And of course, I have to make the same to match on the other side. And with that, the clay portion of this project was pretty much done. Took a few hours to dry, and then I could get to spray painting the base coat a matte black. Now, I only have these 2 high heat matte black spray paints, but they're what I have. I'm not going to use them for anything else. They're just sitting. So again, rather than wasting money buying a non-high heat black matte spray paint, we're just gonna make some, heat resistant art today, okay? Now, once that dried, it was time to paint this book brown. A couple of coats of regular brown, but then I used my paper towel dabbing trick to create that weathered texture. Based on my reference, the skin seam should also be a little bit darker than the rest, so we're gonna do that. And I decided it would be a fun touch to actually sew the book. The foam clay being fairly flexible made it possible, but oh man, possible hardly meant simple in this case. Like, I struggled. I struggled getting the needle to go through the clay. I struggled not having the thread tear right through the clay when I pulled it tight. I struggled with scraping up the paint all around where I was sewing. It was wild. It was crazy. It was frustrating, but I found a rhythm, and after a very long time, I finished. But as you can see, there were numerous battle wounds to show for my efforts. Let's go ahead and fix those up. Next, we need a nice white base for that eye. And while that dried, I moved on to the silver. Oh, the glorious silver. This is the folk art paint. I have it in gold. Love the gold. This was my first time trying the silver. It is just as good. Love, love, love how that brought everything together. Last, I finished up that eye, and voila, this is the finished book. I just love this spooky glow up of my sewing kit. so much. Love it. Okay, next, I'm going to make over this colorful skull that I got from the dollar store. I saw this skull hanging planter at Michael's and it was super duper expensive. And I thought to myself, like, I could make that. So, hey, we're going to give it a try. Let me start by cutting the top off of the skull, which was easy enough to do with a box cutter given the plastic was so thin. Here's the fake plant I'm going to put inside. It is a pretty perfect height to go in there, but there is a lot of wiggle room left around the edges. We got to fix that. I used foam clay to fill in the gaps, which is something I would majorly regret later. And then I spray painted the whole thing black. But this is how it came out. Now, my original plan was to paint it to look like bone, just like the one I saw in Michael's. I wanted it to look like that. But once I saw this, the flat black all over, ooh, it was sexy. I was loving it. So instead, I did my paper towel dabbing with some dark grays so it would still have that matte black look, but a little bit more textured, like, I don't know, black stone or something. I couldn't help but give this guy a little gold tooth, but I can't lie. After I did it, I was like, is this a little cheesy? But I consulted with Cody and he really liked it, so you know what? I'm keeping it. Now time to turn this skull into a planter, the hanging kind. I did punch holes near the top that I could hang it from, and as I was inserting that fake plant, it became clear the foam clay had massively distorted during the drying process, and now the pot didn't fit so great. But I decided I could troubleshoot that later, not a big deal. First, I really wanted to get the twine, the hanging part of the pot, like that needed to get sorted out first. There we go. That looks awesome. Now to get this unsightly space filled in, we're going to use moss. I have two types, actual preserved Spanish moss and then this artificial moss. I think it's made of like nylon. I've never used this one before, so heck, let's give it a try. I actually really had fun with that, and the finished product, very, very happy, and it feels so good to have made it at a fraction of what it would have cost me to buy it. All right, speaking of Michael's, when I went, I did buy this because I think it is absolutely adorable. But that doesn't mean I can't improve it. The purple has to go. Nothing against purple. I don't dislike it, but I also don't prefer it. I'm very purple neutral. That being said, there is absolutely zero purple in my home, so this simply will not match with anything in its current state. Starting with the background, let's go fully neutral with it. Gray is going to do just fine. Although I have to make it nice and textured. I want it to look very cohesive. I don't want it to look like I painted something on something that already existed. We want it to look like it was painted like this from the jump. So now that the background's done, I need to go back in and kind of repaint that furry outline of the cat. I will say the fact that my paint has a different sheen from the picture makes it automatically look a bit off. It will even out at the end though when I throw a matte varnish over the whole thing. Now while I've got my gray, let me just make some of these furry little details a bit more pronounced. I thought overall the picture was very dark. So if we can take these little kitty highlights and make them even brighter, we're going to bump up that contrast and I think it'll look better. And sure, the black frame is nice and all, but what can I say? I'm a gold frame girly, so we're going to do gold instead. And to get rid of that last little bit of purple, he's going to be a green-eyed boy, just like my Princey Pooh. Oh, yeah, I love the way that looks now. It's like he's about to wink at me, my gosh. A couple of little changes and something that was, okay, nice to start is now something I'm absolutely obsessed with. So I call that a success. Okay, now I have these two itty bitty skulls that I got for like 50 cents each at the thrift store. Oh gosh. Okay, sorry, I'm behaving like a 5-year-old right now. But I thought with these two, I could do something symmetrical, and then it clicked. Bookends. I have these bookend bases that I can build off of. I do want it to be something that can cover all this up though. So it's time to bust out the clay again. We'll flatten this out real nice to make a little tombstone. I will say it took so much more clay than I had expected to make a piece big enough to cover the bookend. And mind you, I had to do this twice. But the tombstones need a little bit of an engraving on them. I decided to just do the classic cliche RIP. I gave them a base coat of black, and then to make them look more like stone, it's back to the trusty paper towel dab routine with a few different shades of gray. I will say as I was doing this that the RIP started to get lost a little bit, so I had to paint that back in with straight up black just so it was more pronounced. And once they dried, it was time to glue the tombstones to the bookends. Now for projects like this, I double up on glue. I use E6000 for a sturdy, durable bond, but since that glue takes several hours to cure, I also use hot glue to bond it rapidly. So we do the hot glue, it sticks right away, and then once that E6000 is cured, bam, that is not going anywhere. Kind of a bummer though, because again, the foam clay shrunk, so even though the pieces were cut to be larger than the bookend bases, they actually ended up being smaller. Womp. That's okay though, I still think they look all right. To finish them off, we're gonna add a little bit more moss at the base. And then it's just a matter of setting the skulls on each side and bing, bang, boom, skull bookends. I love them. This is a vibe. Next, we've got this little batty skeleton I also got from the thrift store for a couple of dollars, I think it was. Now, obviously, because it's a skeleton and it's a bat, I freaking love it. But I will say the color is so problematic for me. I don't know, it looks like chicken skin or something, not bone. So the first order of business is to correct that. I did kind of a light, dusty coating of spray paint over the whole thing, just to whiten it up all over. Then once that was dry, went back in with some darker tones and acrylic to add some dimension. That looks much more like a skeleton. Now what are we gonna do with it? Well, there is this little hanging piece of wood in my kitchen, which is where our weekly dinner menu used to be. I've since moved it to a much more practical location on the fridge, but now there's this empty board just hanging there and it's been there for months. I can't take it anymore. So let's use it to create a spot for our bat. Clean slate, let's just paint it black. Now, because of the painted text being kind of raised and some leftover glue residue, this is not going to be perfectly covered. I know this, but I do have some thoughts on how to camouflage all of the imperfections. It's gonna be moss. So first I want to paint the background to kind of mimic that, so I don't have to cover the entire thing in moss. The parts of the board that are visible on their own will still look okay as long as they have that kind of mossy paint texture. And to get that texture, yep, paper towel dabbing, it is. I swear that application method just comes in so handy, especially for this type of art. The dark, the gritty, the textured, the weathered. Paper towel dabbing really just does kick butt for that. But once it was dry, it was time to add the moss. Now, I was genuinely enjoying using this artificial moss. It felt so much less messy than I remembered the genuine moss being, and it's super easy to attach and manipulate. And let me tell you, a little bit goes a long way. I basically arranged it heaviest around the top two corners, almost so that it's like hanging moss in the corners, and then did a very light, wispy line of it going across the top, connecting the two, if that makes any sense at all. I really like that look, and with the board done, all that was left is to hang the bat up there. I really like it. It certainly will look way better in my kitchen than the blank board that's been sitting there for months. Next, we have these ugly little candlestick holders. Now, I've been searching for some like this to help goth up the place, but man, they can be surprisingly expensive. Even these, which I thrifted, ended up being over $7 for the two, which seems crazy to me, especially when, hi, they're so ugly. But that's okay, it's nothing I can't fix. First, I want to create drips all over. I've done this before using hot glue and it worked just great. So I'm just going to do that again, stick to what I know. I want the look of a candlestick holder that's been used for decades, dripping wax all over the place. But hi, I don't have decades and lots of candlesticks to burn to get that effect. We're doing a shortcut. Drips in place, it's time to paint. Of course, I'm going to go classic gold for the spray paint base. That is gorgeous, but it's a little too fresh and clean. To make it look old and tarnished, the easiest technique I found at least is to then brush the whole thing with black paint and wipe it away so it only stays in the deepest crevices of the piece, creating that look of like decades of wear and tear. I love it, it's simple, and I will be using it a lot with some of these makeovers. Next, I need to paint the drips a solid black, as I will of course be using black tapered candlesticks in these holders once they're finished. And here they are all done. I think they look infinitely better than the mess they started out, and it was pretty easy to get here, so win-win. Next, I have this little succulent planter box, thrifted for only $5. Ayo! It's cute, but I have an idea for how to turn it creepy. Let me yank out a few of these fake plants to make some room for what I want to plant in there later. First order of business was tweaking the color though, because this gray toned wood matches literally nothing in my home. So I'm just going to do a wash of watered down warm brown paint to turn it into a more Ashleigh approved appropriate shade. Easy peasy. And now we add the skull. The entire skull was just too much for this planter. Besides, I want it to look like it's been buried in here. So we're going to cut it down so that we only see the top portion of the skull popping out here. It still seemed too large to fit, so I kept cutting and cutting until I realized I'd kind of gone too far. And guess what? It still didn't fit. I realized that the only way to make it work was to pull out more of those succulents. Well, now it fits, but I wish I hadn't cut so much off of it. It's like it doesn't read as clearly that it's a skull anymore. But oh well, what can you do? Well, I can add more moss, of course. Moss will fix everything, right? I mean, kind of. I do still very much like it way more than what it started as, and really that's the whole goal here, right? All right, time for just a good old-fashioned paint project. These little guys came from that cheap section at the front of Target. I know the section has a name, but I rarely shop there, so don't ask me what it is. Anyways, I got these 2 little ceramic pumpkins that are just the perfect texture to paint on. I want to keep it simple but cute, starting with a classic orange base. Now, if you know me, you know I have a bit of an obsession with buffalo check. I love the pattern, so I want to do that with these guys. It's actually super simple to do. You have your base color. In this case, we are using orange. Then you take a darker version of that color, we'll use brown, and you paint vertical stripes all across. Now, once those dry, you use that same color to paint horizontal stripes. And then finally, you darken it up again. We're using black, and you paint the squares where the vertical and horizontal lines intersect. Bing, bang, boom, easy peasy, lemon squeezy, perfect buffalo check. Painted the stems, and another one bites the dust. I adore these. They're much more interesting than plain old pumpkins, but not over the top. They are perfect. I love them. Moving over to this spooky little snow globe I found at Walmart. I love me a snow globe. They are simple entertainment, and I just love this little raven on the skull inside. However, the outside of this snow globe, it is painfully basic. Like, I need to zhuzh it up a little. I knew I wanted some drips on this one, so I basically just dropped a bunch of wet paint on the top of the globe and let gravity do its thing and drip. Super simple. Then I decided it could use a gold base to better match everything else that I've made so far. But in painting the base gold, I quickly realized that my drips were not gonna hold up. Like one itty bitty touch and the paint pulls right up. Since the snow globe is likely going to be handled by my kids, like that's just not going to cut it. So I wiped it clean, and instead I painted the drips over the gold on the base. Now functionally that works way better, but if I'm honest, I actually think it looks better too. And because I'm clearly addicted and just can't help myself, I gotta add a little moss on this one too. Just a bit. I love it. It's so much more fun. Makes me think of Edgar Allan Poe's The Raven. Nevermore. Moving on though, we have this fun little wine glass that came from the dollar store. I have a vision of turning it into a tea light candle holder, but that means filling the cup because we need somewhere for that tea light to sit. My first attempt was with this expandable spray foam, which was an absolute disaster. I went to carve in a spot for the candle and well, let's just say it was not dense enough and far too gummy to work. This was a fail of epic proportions, and then I was down a wine glass. But at least I still had one left, so I filled it with foam clay. I didn't know what else to do. Then I made a little impression with the tea light so that there would be room for it and kind of let it sit and dry. And once it was dry, I went matte black all over for the base, which just like the hanging skull planter, as soon as it dried, I was like, this looks so good just the way it is. But you know me, I can't just leave it, so I did do the paper towel dabbing with some dark gray just on the hand part. I went back through with plain black to clean up any gray that got on the cup, because we definitely want the cup and the hand to be different. We need some contrast. Oh, that looks fire. Now it needs moss. So since this was going to hold a candle, I was a little paranoid about using the fake moss. I don't know, it seems like it could be incredibly flammable and dangerous. So I went with the real moss instead, but boy oh boy, I remembered why I didn't like this so much. It was so messy, it was such a headache, but you know what? We got it done, and this is the finished tea light candle holder. Oh, I swoon completely for this. And because when I like something, I absolutely have to overdo it, the dollar store also had these in a tumbler style cup. So I got a pair of those. Now I wanted to do something a little different with these. I'm still going to repaint them the same way as the wine glass because I love the idea of having a matching set. We're still going to do the flat black. We're still going to do the paper towel dabbing with the gray. But these are not going to end up as tea light candle holders. Instead, I want to turn them into little planters. Because yes, I need more fake plants in my life. So once I had them painted appropriately, I stuffed a little styrofoam inside and began adding all of the glorious fake plantery that my little heart desired. And here's the duo. I think they're super cute and are going to look great alongside the wine glass tea light holder. Super, super happy with them. All right, I'm really excited for this next one. This sweet little teacup also came from the thrift store. Got this one on half off day, so it was actually only $1.75. And ooh, look. She's made in England. Anyways, since it's a teacup, I definitely had to turn it into a tea light candle holder. I mean, it's in the name. Let's stuff it with foam clay and make room for the tea light candle in there. Once that was dry, I painted the inside black. Now, I don't know what's in this teacup, but it is sinister. The florals, though, they are far too cheery for my liking, but I do love the design. So we're just going to make them black blossoms instead. Y'all know I suck at painting flowers, but this was kind of cheating because the flowers already existed and I just had to paint over them. It kind of made it a whole lot easier on me. And I will say, I was so surprised at how well the china took the paint. I thought with it being such a smooth surface, it would repel the paint like crazy, but no, it was shockingly easy to do. Of course, I have to make our little saucer match. They are a set. And for the details, I just used paint markers. I wasn't going to make it any harder on myself. I'm already working on florals. But for a finishing touch, I went nuts with that gold paint pen. I can't help myself. I just love gold. I have an unhealthy relationship with it, and I am aware. I wanted whatever toxic substance is in this cup to be spilling over the edges. Yep, that meant more drips. I swear, between black drips, moss, and paper towel dabbing, a lot of these makeovers get a little repetitive, but hey, those are all things I like, and that's how we create cohesion, right? That's what I'm telling myself. Anyways, off camera, I threw a gloss varnish over the whole thing, and now I want to glue the cup to the saucer so that I never have to worry about the two getting separated, one getting broken. No. They are together forever now. And in hindsight, I don't know that this was necessary, but I added moss to this one too. I guess I wanted it to be matchy with the wine glass tea light holder, but I actually think watching it back that it looked maybe better without. Oh well, it's done. It happened. Hindsight is 2020. Here it is finished, and all things considered, I completely adore this little goth teacup. Okay, this is a little random one, but I also found this lantern at the thrift shop, and I think it'll look cute as outdoor decor. But it is a little cheesy commercial Halloween, so I'd like to try and make it a little bit edgier, a little bit creepier. Started with some black drips going down the glass panels. Yeah, I already like that better. And then paper towel dabbed some rusty brown on there. This lantern needs to look like it's old and weathered, of course. And lastly, a bit of moss around the base to finish it off. This one was super simple, a couple of minor tweaks, but I really like the change and I think it's gonna look great outside with my other decorations. All right, these are two skull planters I secured at Ross. I want them to be a matching set, but as you can clearly see, they do not match at all. I don't love this creamy pearly color of the big one. I definitely prefer the pure white of the smaller. So let's start with our big guy over here. We need to pull out all of the plants from the top so that we can paint it without worrying about getting paint on them. Somehow lost the footage of me painting this white, but I did. It's done. Here it is. And now I'm back at it with the black drips. This girl and her black drips. But I love that. Now we can go ahead and add the plants back in. I changed them up a little and love that the new configuration almost makes this skull look like David Bowie. Like, tell me if you can see it. But now for the mini skull. This one is going to be a tea light candle holder. So I also needed to extract the plants from it. But also all of these rocks need to come out too. Ah, crap, they're really in there. Okay, so a chisel and 20 minutes later, I've cleared it out, but now I need to build it back up so that the tea light candle has a surface to sit on. Now, my non-functional brain at this point decided that hot glue was the solulu. Let me tell you, 'twas not. I ended up just shoving a piece of foam board in there and sealing it off with the glue. I mean, whatever works, right? Time to paint though, and I wanted to do the same black drips, only this time bring them down way more. I'm going to use a black tea light candle for this one, so it'll almost be like the candle is what's dripping. And to finish it off and hide the seam between the foam and the ceramic, Yep, you guessed it, more moss. So here's the set side by side. I love them. They are so fun. I do think they match way better than before. And yeah, it's a win for me. Okay, I want to move on now to all of the pots. I have so many plant pots that I want to fancy up for spooky season, so here we go. This one I want to make look like a cute little witch's cauldron. Now, I'm not a great sculptor, and it is certainly not perfect, but I am proud of myself because I think this actually kind of looks all right. Pat on the back for mediocre sculpting. Let's, of course, paint it black. Once that dried, I painted the words Plant Witch in that American Horror Story type of font. Added a little greenery to the pot, maybe a few sparkles, and then we can put the plant back where it belongs. Finished! It is so cute. I love it so much. All right, what else? We've got this little succulent pot that I thought was just the perfect shape to build off to make a cute little sheet ghost pot. Pull out the plant and get to sculpting. Actually super cute. The clay is already white, but I want it to have a shiny sheen to it, so I'm spraying over it with white gloss spray paint. That looks perfect. Now I just need to add a little black for the eyes and the mouth, give him his little succulent back, and here's the finished product. Talk about adorable. I love this one. All right, this one was not planned at all, and it was pure chaos. I tried to take the plant out to make it easier to work with. That wasn't happening. Basically, there was a tiny bit of foam clay I had left after all of these projects, and it was already starting to dry out. It would have gone in the trash if I didn't make use of it, like, right away. So without any sort of plan, I grabbed this random plant pot and started sculpting on it. I attempted to do a skull, but like a drippy skull, kind of like the poison apple from Snow White. Like, that was the vibe we were shooting for. But again, the clay was already kind of setting. I was frantically sculpting as fast as I could, and it just came out a sloppy mess. I hate it. I tried to save it with some paint, but no, it was too far gone. Whatever, I'm keeping it, but I definitely do not like it. I guess you can't win them all. Let's move on to another one. We're done with clay now, so these are just going to be painted from here on out. So I'm back in my comfort zone, and nothing says comfort zone for me more than painting it black. Once it was black, time to write on the words. So I saw this one on Pinterest and gagged. Feeling cute, might die later. Oh, I love this so much, paying homage to the Instagram trend when we used to do the like feeling cute, might delete later selfies. It's funny for a plant, but also referencing death. It could be a little creepy. And the best part is the irony of having this on a fake plant that absolutely cannot die. Like, love, love, love. Even with my writing all crooked, I adore this one. Okay, next I'm going to make a pair of pots that are inspired by these pots that I found at a shop here in town. I love them so much, but they wanted like $30 per pot. And I said, nay, I shall make it myself. So these plants cost me like $10 for the set of 3. One I used for the cauldron pot, and now these 2. And I love them just as much as I would have loved 2 of the ones I found in store, which would have cost me $60. Like, heyo, love saving money. These look absolutely gorgeous. So happy I made them. This one, super simple idea. I just want to paint the pot gold, which for whatever reason took like 5 coats this time around. Normally this gold has pretty good coverage, but we got there eventually, and almost completely out of frame here, I went in and gave it some more black drips. Hope y'all aren't sick of that yet, because I don't think I'll ever be. I love the black drips. This one is so simple, but I still really like it. Let me start the next by showing off these skeleton hand tongs from the dollar store. I assume they're for tossing salads and things. They are so cool that I actually got a second set in black to actually use in my home for their intended purpose. But this set I decided to sacrifice in the name of art. Simply, I plan to stick this skeleton hand in this pot. That's all. Maybe have the plant kind of intertwining with the fingers a bit. First though, it's too long. I need to snap off the hand. Finally, got it. Then, like the mini skull, I need a full-on chisel to remove some of these rocks. Then once I had a little hole here where I could access the styrofoam inside, a little hot glue, and bam! I did tweak the color a little with some acrylic, and here it is done. This was easy, and I love how it came out. That's just the best case scenario. Easy, and we love it. All right, I have another set of these mini plants from IKEA. I decorated one set for my studio, and I made hot glue drips on it and painted them gold. I love that, so we're gonna start along that path. I'll do one with the drips, and instead of gold, we're going black for these 3. Now for the other 2 non-drippy pots, I want to put little faces on them. For this one, a cute little kitty face. And this one, a kooky little monster face. After some varnish, it was time to put the plants back in the pots. And here's the finished set. Super fun, super fast, super cute. Would absolutely recommend this as like a project for somebody. Love these. This one was a blast. I got these little centipedes from the dollar store. They're kind of like silicone, and I want to put them on this plant pot. Ooh, yikes, she's dusty. A lot of these plants I've had for years, and I'm terrible about dusting them, so sorry about that. Anyways, I just glued the centipedes all over, pulled out the plant, spray painted it all black. She's looking pretty good, just like that. So we can put the plant back in. Easy peasy, nice and creepy. I love the look of this one. And for the last pot makeover, this one made me work for it. I decided to stud the whole thing with these punk rock metal spikes. Quite the opposite of some of these simpler projects. This was a long and tedious and repetitive process. The gluing created so many hot glue strings that once the spikes were in place, I had to spend ages cutting off the excess. But then I could paint it black. I wanted it to match the flat black vibe of the centipede pot, but for some reason, painting the spikes black totally changed the vibe for the worst. They lost something. They didn't look creepy anymore. So then I spent another ridiculous chunk of time scraping the black off of every spike. I actually had to recruit Cody's help on that one. But once we got there, added the plant back in, and here's the finished pot. What can I say? It was worth the work. This is one of my favorites of the bunch. Pots are done. Hallelujah. That just leaves frames now. Starting with this set of oval frames here. These 2 little holographic spooky ornaments came from Michael's. Honestly, I didn't care what was in them. I just wanted the frames. And then this hideous beast came from the thrift shop. Got it on the half off day, so $115. Ooh, couldn't walk away from that no matter how ugly it was. We're going to make these 3 a somewhat cohesive set and incorporate some buggies into it. First things first, gotta paint them all gold. Next, I'm gonna do that antiquing trick I showed you where we put the black paint on and wipe it away so it only goes in the crevices. Yeah, that looks super nice. Then I'm gonna paint a little green in the background. That'll set us up nicely for what's to come. And if you guessed moss, yes, you are correct. I started with the largest oval frame and kind of just did a ring of moss around the edges. Then I glued a big old butterfly right in the center. And yes, she is real. Dead, but real. Finished the edges off with more fake moss, and then I moved on to the littles. Now they were too small to do a ring of moss, so I just filled the entire frame with it instead. And once I placed the butterflies, I actually really liked it and sort of wish I had done the same thing for the large frame. Oh well, everything was already glued, there was no going back, but I still love the look of each of them. And honestly, I think on the wall, they're all gonna look super good together. Now this I love you to the moon and back trinket has been with Cody and I since we first got together like 1,000 years ago. It's time to give it a facelift for sure and start fresh. Black it out. And since I have one more little butterfly to use, this shall be its home. Add our moss. Glue it in place, and voila, I love this, but I think I'm done with bugs for a little while. Okay, I found some skeleton goodies for super cheap, and I want to jazz up this simple black frame with them. This is ambitious, but hear me out, okay? I want to take 2 of these mini skeletons and glue them on either side of the frame, like holding hands, okay? Then I want to take these little bones and snap them and use the pieces to write out something on the frame. How about love? Since it's clear the skeletons are in love here. Yeah. Once we have that, you know what we do. Paint it black. And once that was dry, I did the same dark gray paper towel dabbing you've seen 10 times today. I honestly loved it on the skeletons, but there was something about the word love that was getting lost. So I switched over and decided to paint it just gold instead. And I really think that helped. It looked so much better. Now I needed something to put in the frame. Keeping with the Halloween theme, I shamelessly stole this AI-generated modern Frankenstein image off Pinterest. Now don't come after me, I would never do this with genuine art. AI art doesn't count since it's built off of stolen art to begin with, okay? But I will give credit where credit is due, and the computer did a good job on this one because I think it's super cute. Next is this cute little skeleton hand heart frame. I got it from Ross. Ugh, they are just the worst with the price tag stickers, aren't they? Anyways, it's just like the sticker I made, so when I saw it, I was like, I have to have it! The pink is cute, but definitely not the vibe for my home. So that's really the only thing I'm going to change here. And we shall turn it gold. Yay! Lovely. Now to go inside, I just kept it super simple. I printed off mine and Cody's names in a little gothic font. It looks so great. It was crazy simple, but ended up being a favorite item for me. Love this one. Another super easy one, this spiderweb frame, also from Ross. This was another one that was cute, but again, it was just the color that was dragging it down, making it look kind of cheap and juvenile. A simple coat of matte black was enough to fix that issue. No bells, no whistles. The spiderweb texture is very subtle now, but still there. It just looks more refined, more grown up now. I love it. And this snake frame, I loved it as is. Honestly, I could have left it alone and been perfectly fine, but I figured I might as well do the black paint antiquing on it while I'm changing things. I printed off a version of my Sphinx print, which is still my favorite, and put that inside. It's hardly a makeover. The transformation was only slight, but like I said, it was a nice piece to begin with, so yeah. Love it. Last frame. And again, this one technically took the most work. Not the frame itself. For that, I just did the same antiquing I did on the snake. Now, the work for this one came in creating the art that's going to go inside of it. I wanted to make a self-portrait of sorts. I also wanted it to be creepy, though. This is Halloween we're talking about here. Now, this piece is going above my art desk, so I wanted to draw basically myself in kind of a creepy Tim Burton-y style, slipping slowly into madness while making art, because certainly that's how I was feeling by this point. After all of these freaking projects, oh my gosh, I was losing it. I paid a little homage to like slasher horror vibes by drawing myself holding a paintbrush in one hand as if it's like a dripping knife, and then a glue gun in the other hand as if, I think you get it. It's dark, but I also think it's really, really fun, this kind of frazzled look. I had a thought of turning this into a sticker and maybe having it say something like, art, because therapy is expensive. I don't know. I think it has potential. Anyways, I think I made a poor choice of color with my skin. I was going for dull, creepy colors, and this just doesn't look like me. So I scanned it, made some changes, and I think these are a bit better. I think I'm going to go with this one, though, because it matches the Sphinx better, and that's what's going next to it. So now I can just cut it to size, stick it in the frame, and there I am. Psycho crafter, qu'est-ce que c'est? Okay, and one last little craft for the road. I did this one at the last minute, but I got this wreath bow, which is now covered in cat hair. But I love the rich velvety feel of it. I just think this skull on here is offensively tacky. So, goodbye. Let's bust out that last mini skeleton, and hey, here we can take out some aggression. Full dismemberment. All I want is that torso left over. And yeah, just like that better for a bow ornament. I'm going to tack it with some hot glue, and then I'm going to stitch it in place. Done and done. It's perfect now. And that's it. Hours later, blood, sweat, and tears have been shed, but we went from all of this to all of this. Oh, I love it all. This table is a collection of things that are just now so very me. I'm ready for Halloween and even beyond that. Like I said, this is regular home decor for me. Now let's get all of this set up. I said, my MO is just editing this video and hopefully I can get it to you guys ASAP. I don't want to do a Halloween decor video way after Halloween, but it is what it is. I did my best. I did a lot, and now we can move on. I am going to spend this weekend, this Halloween weekend, you know, really enjoying the time with my family. So let's say next week, no video. I need some time to recover from all of this. But special thank you to all of my members. We do have some new gold members since the last video. So extra special thank you to Sky, Michelle, Paige, Shannon, Doodledon, and Harriet. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much for keeping my channel a-going. Thank you to all of you for watching, and until next time, goodbye.